Hello guys, welcome to Redditor's Revenge. Here we post amazing revenge stories daily, and if you want more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Moving on to today's first story. My father is like a snake, selfish, and does not care for anyone. He has done a lot of things to me and Tara, but because he is our parent, we cannot help but forgive him for several things. One thing he likes to hold over us is our mother's death, and without fail, when he blames us for it, we get so guilty that we do as he says. Dad has never helped us financially, apparently wanting us to work hard so that we do not think money grows on trees. Even when we fell on hard times and borrowed money from him, he would treat it like a loan and charge interest on it. It was very difficult to grow up living with him. There was no affection or love. We were raised by nanas while he was always on business trips, and we were introduced to so many of his female friends to whom he gave money to go shopping while we had to beg for money to even go on school trips. I could never figure out the reason why my dad hated us so much, but I feel as if it was just in his nature to only value people who had some advantage that he wanted while he treated those with no use to him badly. He told us many things, some lies and some not, but one that stayed with us was the one about our mother's death. According to him, both of us had contributed to her death. Everything was our fault or my mother's, but never his because he thought he was the most perfect or important human being on the planet. A year after my mom gave birth to Tara, who was always a sickly child, she fell pregnant with me. Now, according to him, he was always the doting husband who made sure that her pregnancy went well, and she had a safe delivery. But according to other family members, namely my Aunt Holly, she said that he would cheat on my mom throughout her pregnancy, subject her to uncomfortable treatment, all while demanding that she should bear a male heir for him, someone who was strong and not ailing like Tara. My sister was always in and out of the hospital, so to add to her pregnancy, she had to worry about a sick infant. My dad was busy working and cheating on my mother, who was dying of stress because of all that she needed to do alone. I believed Aunt Holly's version of events, and not the sob story he told to the public that he had been the most devoted husband to his wife, who ended up dying during childbirth. My mom ended up dying. The main cause is the loss of blood and high blood pressure. When given the option to save me or my mother, my father chose to save me because he thought I was a boy. He was beyond enraged when he found out I was not a boy, so my mom had died for nothing. Can you just imagine just how messed up it is to know that I was only saved because my father thought I would be a boy? He was so certain, had convinced himself that I was a boy. My aunt told me that my mother knew I was another girl, but hid it from him because she feared that he would make her abort. I feel bad that I was born sometimes. Because of me, my mother had to give her life. I had to have extensive therapy over the years to get rid of the belief that my mother was not alive because of me, and I deserved all the hate that my father put on me. It was just the same for Tara, who has gotten stronger with time but suffers from many allergies and anemia. I grew to resent Tara instead of loving her and supporting her. Even years later, though we are civil with each other, there was some rivalry between us, which was how he managed to control us. We knew he was a toxic, bitter man, but we wanted his approval either way, or to be accepted by our mother's death as if he was the judge of our lives. At times, I had to stay home and take care of her, because my father could not be bothered, and he figured we were too old for babysitters. We would fight most of the time and blame each other for the way things were so bad. That house was a house filled with so much pain and blame, such that we could not truly fix it. There was only one time when we could forget all the pain and resentment, and it was when we visited our grandmother, who lived on her farm far away. Grandma was a very humble and loving woman, who encouraged us to love and support each other as sisters. When we were with her, we never had to ask for anything because she was always there before the words even left our lips. Though she was a very wealthy woman, she lived a very humble life, unlike my dad, who only cared about money. When she talked about my father, she would get very sad, saying that if my mother was alive, he would have been a better man. I could not imagine that man having a single bone of kindness in his body. He was cruel and thought that everyone was below him. When Tara finished high school, she wanted to go to college and came to him to ask for money. Do you know what he told her? He told her that he chose not to go to college, but he had somehow managed to be successful, and the course she was doing was useless. My sister wanted to work in the field of education, teaching at a school for disadvantaged children. At the time, my relationship with her was much better than when we were growing up. I wanted her to achieve what she could. He gave her the money, but wanted half of her salary for the first year as payment. Imagine a father making his daughter pay him back for college. I had a problem with it, even though she agreed. She was always the quieter one of the two of us. I did not think that it was going to be a good idea. I told her to apply for a student loan instead, but she said that I was jealous because he had agreed. You see, even though he was toxic, we were still competing for his approval without even realizing it. So, I talked to my father about it, asking if it was not his duty to take care of us, and how long he was going to punish us for things that we did not know. He told me that over the years he had fed and clothed us, but it appeared that we were very ungrateful to him, reminding me that he had spent a lot of money that he was not even sure we would be able to repay. He gave us a whole speech about how we were useless, and that the family name would die with us because we were not boys. I backed away from the situation, fearing that he would as easily withdraw his funds from Tara. When it was time for me to go to college, I asked for the money, but instead of using it for college, I started a business. This immediately made me a favorite of his. Even though I was in the same field as him, he offered me business advice. But as time went on, he appeared to be trying to steal clients from me or absorb my business into his. It was around the time when I was about to confront him for this that an interesting proposition landed in my lap. There is an annual celebration in our town, just a small festival at the end of the year, with games and challenges. Tara and I used to go there all the time. There was a section for adults, where they could compete in archery, sumo wrestling, or even wipeout-style challenges. Either way, my father called Tara and I to his house. There he told us that now that he was 65, and he was growing old, he could not manage the company on his own. Seeing how my grandmother was struggling with health problems and would kick the bucket any day now, he started to see just how important it was that he name an heir. Now, since he did not have a son, it was between the two of us. My sister might have been the oldest, but I was the one who was more business savvy. He told us that he was having a hard time deciding which one of us would be the one to inherit everything he had and lead the company. But he said he had a plan, a duel of sorts between Tara and me. He said that he wanted a friendly match between us where the winner would get the entire inheritance and choose whether to split it. Honestly, I do not know how to feel about this. He has to be joking. He honestly cannot be serious about making us fight for our inheritance like we are some sort of pets. So, now I am wondering whether to do it or not, as I have not yet spoken to Tara. Update. My sister and I discussed it when he was gone, and we both thought the idea was very stupid and outdated. We knew he just wanted some sort of entertainment and was using the festival as a way to make us fight now that we were in a good place. But my head was starting to spin. Maybe this would be my chance to finally get him out of the business. Then Tara and I would run the company side by side. It would be nothing but a playful challenge, of course. On the other hand, she thought that it was just a joke, and he would not give one of us the inheritance. It was not uncommon for him to go back on his word after all. Maybe he was just going to give the winner a car or something. Either way, we decided to do it in the end, but maybe draw so that he would have no choice but to give us both whatever prize it was. I certainly did not want to hurt Tara. Now, before continuing the part 2 of the story, guys, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to remain updated on more fantastic stories. Now, moving on to the part 2. Doing the challenge ended up being a big mistake. So, the very next day, we went to the festival with our dad. It was one of the only times we went out as a family, and I enjoyed it. My father's backhanded comments did not even matter much to me, since it had been a while since I attended the festival. My sis and I promised each other no hard feelings as we competed in some of the activities at the festival. The first one was archery, which I won. After that, I noticed Tara getting more competitive, which just spurred me on. As time passed and we competed in a challenge against challenge, my urge to beat her just got worse. It did not help that my dad told us that he needed to test us in various fields. I was about tired and ready to throw in the towel when it was late evening. I was trailing by 2 points and extremely tired. This was when my dad told us that it was just one last challenge, a literal physical fight, in a ring where the person with points could win. But the thing with this was that there were little to no rules, plus makeshift plastic weapons were added as well. Often, only the most savage people got involved in this, but now we were going to get involved. Needless to say, Tara and I got carried away, to the point where we were tearing each other's clothes. We were hungry, angry, and frustrated, which got worse as we started to insult each other and blame each other for being selfish. I did not know why. I was more irritable than all the other challenges, especially after my father gave me a bottle of water. Either way, while we were fighting, we got out of the ring, and there was no one to control us as we fell over the side of the ring, onto the floor. The angle we fell in was so bad that I heard the crunch of bone, before I screamed like I was on fire. I could hear Tara screaming like she was being hurt as well. My vision got a bit blurry before I saw my father looking at us. I could have sworn he had a look of triumph on his face. Update. It has been 2 days since I left the hospital and several things have happened, one of which is that my father refuses to take responsibility for his actions. Not only that, but he wants to go back on his word and not give the inheritance to either of us. See, I should have listened to people when they told me just how selfish he is. Once again, he has made a fool of me and Tara. We are also not on good terms after what happened with our dad. The family is also pretty divided on the whole issue, but let me just explain what happened. My sister fell on my leg, and from the height and angle that I fell from, it cracked, and now I have to be in a plaster for a while before I can start walking again. My father refused to visit either of us when we were in the hospital, saying that if it was a private hospital, he would not have to worry too much about getting diseases while visiting us. He is the kind of person who would rather the doctor come to him, instead of being in a hospital with other people. That is one of the other things I hate about him, the fact that he feels everyone else is dirty, and he is the only clean one. Do not even get me started on some of his controversial views, they make me so ashamed of being his daughter. He claims to be smart, but he was so obnoxious that he did not think the fact that Tara's nose was broken was something to be worried about. On the other hand, Tara is mad at me because apparently, it was my fault that we ended up getting out of the ring. She says that I did not take the fact that she is anemic into account, because I was too rough on her. How can I have been too rough on her when she was the one wiping the floor with me? Oh, and my dad refuses to take responsibility for the whole thing, and says that we are grown adults and we should have known better. He said that it was merely a suggestion from him, and we took it too seriously. If we take everything into account, it is he who started the whole thing and suggested the tiebreaker at the end of the day. My sister and I were engaged in a friendly competition, though deep down I was taking it seriously, but either way, he started it. To make matters worse, I was just on the phone with him, asking him why he has not come to see me since I got discharged. I also wanted to know what the outcome of the competition was. First of all, he ignored me when I asked him if he was coming to visit me. I ended up swallowing my pride and messaging Tara to ask her if he contacted her or come to see her. She told me that she had called him, and he was out of the country, on a trip with a woman. She also said that he had left a message that said we were both weaklings to end up in the hospital. If we had been boys, a clear winner would have been declared. Because of that, he did not want to see us or give us the inheritance because we embarrassed him. I hung up the phone while Tara was still talking, and to be honest, I cannot stop crying. I hate that I keep expecting that man to change, but he just stabs us in the back and carries on. He is a liar who cannot take responsibility for his life, and now Tara and I do not even want to talk. Update a month later. Well, Tara and I have healed, and we are now running the company together. A lot of stuff has happened since then, and we are both so busy. My sister knows about the posts and does not mind. It is these posts that helped to save both of us after we had been disowned by that man. I ended up calling Tara back and asking what our next course of action was, now that we knew he had played us in the worst way possible. She was still in the hospital, getting treated for other things besides her broken nose, but she had still managed to simmer up. Up until then, the family did not know that we were in the hospital. We are not that close with many of them, so we did not see the need to tell them. I knew Aunt Holly would just scold us, and Grandma is 89, she would get all worried that we were not feeling well. Well, it appeared that Tara's boyfriend gossiped and told someone who told someone else, and it ended up reaching my aunt that we were in the hospital. My aunt is my mother's sister, my dad is an only child, just to clarify. Anyways, my aunt was very angry about the whole situation, but the person she was the angriest with was my dad. She apologized for being distant for all those years. He had told her to stay away from us because she reminded us of our mother. This was just another of his lies, just so we would not have any warmth or family members and would rely on him. Either way, she told us that it did not matter who pushed who. At the end of the day, we were both hurt. She said our mother would be very upset if she saw just how our father had turned us against each other. I mean, we had tried to get along with each other over the years, but there was resentment that we needed to let go of with time. But firstly, she told us that we needed to tell Grandma about this because as far as she knew, Grandma had more power than my dad still. She was sure that my grandma had just been lied to over the years by her son, and she was too sick to try to find out the truth. So, after Tara had been discharged, we visited our grandma at her house for the first time in 2 years. She looked healthy and also very glad to see us but worried about us. So, Tara and I told her how our father had manipulated us into fighting for the inheritance. Then when we got hurt, he ran off to some holiday with some bimbo. She was very horrified by all of this and started crying, which made me feel very sorry for telling her all this. She said that her son had always been slightly rotten, but he had gotten worse with age. She feared he would become so hateful, greedy, and selfish, but when she got too old to work, he was the only person she could give the inheritance to. It would have pained her to give the company to distant relatives because that would leave Tara hungry. But she was proud of the woman we had become and so disappointed in her son, therefore she wanted to give us everything. We were shocked at how, but she said that she had not fully handed over the company and assets to my dad. That would only happen when she passed. This appeared to be something that had gone over our father's head. Just because he had the power of attorney and access to all the accounts, his will was not even valid. It would only be valid if Grandma passed away first, then everything went in his name. My sister and I were very shocked by the news but happy that she was going to give everything to us. She ordered my father to return and then began the transfers. He tried to beg, threaten and intimidate us, but we were there to protect our grandma. This was just the first step in us being able to mend our relationship that could not develop because of our father. Grandmother removed him as the head of the company and appointed us, as well as transferred all the money to us. He was only left with his house and the few cars that were in his name, but nothing else. Our grandmother said that she also left him a small amount of money for when she passed away, so that he could take care of himself since he is so old. It has been a month since we last saw our dad, who put up a huge fight when we showed up to take over the business and swore that the two of us would not be able to gain success. Well, shame is on him because even in our first 2 weeks, after absorbing my company, we are doing great. My sister is very good at working with people while I handle the business side. Grandma checks up on us now and then, and she is so proud of us. Update. So even though all the drama is over, I just wanted to give a final update. I feel like I owe it to you since these posts have helped to heal my relationship with Tara. We had an honest talk about all the stuff that happened over the years and how we felt about it. We also apologized to each other for hurting each other during that fight and not being able to see that our dad was playing us against each other. He recently tried to contact the two of us, bad-mouthing the other to try and gain sympathy. As soon as we got to the office, we showed each other the texts and nearly died laughing at how pathetic that man is. I do not even want to call him dad anymore, he is just a sperm donor. Soon, he will probably have to sell those cars to keep up with his lifestyle. The people he used to make fun of are now making fun of him. They are not scared of him now that he is near broke. It has opened an opportunity for so many people besides Tara and me to heal from all that man has put us through and focus on building a brighter future. I used to blame myself and Tara for our mother's death, but now I have found peace with it, and I plan to move on. Now, here comes to the end of our today's story, and I hope you enjoyed this satisfying revenge OP took on her greedy a whole father. In my opinion, he is a horrible person for what he has been doing his entire life to all those people around him, and he doesn't deserve to be a father. Guys, I want to hear your thought about this story in the comments section, and if you had similar experiences, please share it. Also, before you leave, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to remain updated on more fantastic stories.